Hi, I'm Scott Wrighton. I serve as Decatur City Manager, and every week you can tune in here or click the link on the city's website and see a little video that gives you some more information about what's going on with your city government. The Mayor and City Council at their last meeting on June 5th had a fairly busy meeting. Several of the items had to do with our water system, either in terms of our reporting about the water system or actual actions by the Mayor and City Council to update some of the technology we use to make sure that potable, good quality water is delivered to our citizens reliably 24/7, 365. Many citizens don't realize that significant parts of the water system are sort of run remotely or run by technology that adjusts pumping or adjusts feed systems or chemical systems or whatever is necessary to treat the water almost automatically down at the South Water Treatment Plant, and periodically those systems need to be updated. In fact, the city is engaged in a major update of our water treatment system. The physical concrete portions of the South Water Treatment Plant there near the corner of Lakeshore Drive and South Martin Luther King Drive were built in 1988, and the concrete walls of the clarifiers and other underground structures were built to last for a century. But the reality is that probably every third of a century, the mechanical mechanisms, the electrical systems, the chemical feed systems, the clarifiers, those don't last for a century and they have to be replaced. And so as you might drive by the South Water Treatment Plant over the last several months, you've seen a crane in the air or you've seen other construction equipment as we're replacing primary and secondary clarifiers at the water treatment plant. Less visible from the street are going to be other improvements that the City Council has authorized in the electrical systems, in the remote control or the remote monitoring, what we call SCADA systems at the water treatment plant, and other improvements there to make sure that for the next third of a century, we can deliver fairly large quantities of good quality water and do so efficiently and reliably and hopefully at as low a price as possible for our customers. One of the other things that the City Council spent a fair amount of time on Monday night talking about is a catalyst project in the Old King's Orchard neighborhood. I've had the opportunity to talk about catalyst projects on these videos in the past. That's where the city creates a fairly large and visible project for redevelopment of a section of a neighborhood in the hopes that that will catalyze or sort of induce or sort of prime the pump, if you will, improvements on adjacent properties. Old King's Orchard is between Grand on the north and the Norfolk Southern tracks on the south, and Business 51 on the east and Monroe on the west. And that's an area, if you're familiar with that part of the urban core of Decatur, where there's been a lot of thinning out of the properties. Properties have been cleared either because houses became derelict and they had to be demolished, or they were condemned, or they went into tax foreclosure, or any number of other reasons why properties had to be taken over, in some cases by not-for-profits and in other cases by the city. That compels us to try to think creatively about what can be some repurposing of these lands rather than just letting them have grass growing on them. How can we repurpose them in a creative way that really adds value to the City Council's neighborhood revitalization programs? And the answer that we came up with here in the Old King's Orchard neighborhood is that we should build on the assets that are already there with some of the organizations that are already there. The Grace Methodist Church has expanded their footprint to be an influence and deliberately chosen to be an influence in the community. In addition, we have God's Shelter of Love with several sites there, Good Samaritan Inn, Old King's Orchard Community Center, not-for-profits and entities that are already working to transform people's lives. So let's build on the fact that we already have institutions and not-for-profits in that area. How can we link with them? And the answer to that question was urban agriculture. The city was in a unique position because we had acquired so much property to cobble together a few more and actually have an entire block and a half that we could give to Good Samaritan Inn for them to significantly scale up the amount of agriculture that they're involved in, not only so that they can produce more locally grown produce for not-for-profits as well as for private businesses and restaurants and institutions here in Decatur, but to also do so by using their program to transform people's lives, to be directly involved in workforce development and helping people with life skills and better themselves, make themselves more productive and more employable, so they can make more money and be productive members of society. In a different way, the Old Kings Orchard Community Center is going to be doing the same thing with some of their programs. They also plan to have urban agriculture and as well as an athletic or recreation field as well that augments their programs that already take place in their building located at the corner of Green and Church Streets. So in the aggregate, all these different decisions and working with these different organizations as partners is the Catalyst Project for the Old Kings Orchard neighborhood. We're really excited about it, and I'm equally excited to share information about future Catalyst projects in some of the other neighborhoods, so keep tuning in. Thanks for joining.